Beer here back at the Fantasy Bar. Christmas is behind us, but the Week 16 slate is on deck, and I'm back with 6 of my favorite plays, including my favorite correlation plays, which games am I stacking, and of course, my favorite play of the week. Who is it? Belly up to the Fantasy Bar and find out. Welcome back to the Fantasy Bar, guys. Week 16 edition, Beer's Daily Fantasy 6-pack. Good to be back here in the friendly confines once again with 6 guys fresh off the tap for you on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Hope everybody out there had a great Christmas, great holiday season with your family and friends. But we turn the page here to Week 16. We'll only cover the main slate here, 10 games on the docket, and we're going to get you some winners here with my 6 favorite plays on the slate. As always, before we jump into the plays, guys, do me a favor, click that thumbs up button. That's the tip jar here in the Fantasy Bar. Really helps us out, so I greatly appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and get notified when these videos are coming out. All right, before we talk Week 16, as always, for transparency, we take a look back at Week 15 and a decent week, and we had some hits, we had some misses. Obviously, the injury to Cam Akers did not help things, but solid production pretty much out of the rest of the guys. Everyone found the end zone here and the beast of the week. And no, it's been a couple rough weeks, but Calvin Ridley went nuts there with Julio on the sidelines as we expected. So decent week. All in all, Calvin Ridley, the winner there. But as always, we turn the page here to Week 16, and let's do just that. Let's start at the running back position with Miles Sanders of the Eagles. Now, this matchup with Dallas is one that we're going to continue to attack. We did it last week with Jeff Wilson. He found the end zone, and I think Miles Sanders has big-time upside here in this matchup. We know Dallas is bad against the run, bottom 10 in DVOA, bottom 10 in fantasy points allowed over the season, bottom 10 in fantasy points allowed over the last month. We know Dallas gives up a ton of yards and production to running backs. In fact, over 130 yards per game rushing allowed. Do the Cowboys give up here? And Sanders has really seized control of this backfield. It was in question. We were seeing way too much Boston Scott here, but 82 and 89% of the backfield snaps over the last 2 weeks for Miles Sanders. And I think a lot of people are going to go to Jalen Hurts. I love Jalen Hurts as well, as much as the next guy, but I think this will be nice leverage off of Jalen Hurts. Sanders has played extremely well since he's entered the starting lineup here. I think you're going to get an ownership discount here in a dream matchup with the Dallas Cowboys. All right, speaking of the Cowboys, let's get some correlation on that side of the ball with wide receiver Amari Cooper. So I saw this price on DraftKings, and it was absolutely floored. Just an absolute steal here for Amari Cooper at only $5,700, even the $6,600 on FanDuel. I don't mind that price at all, and it's nice correlation with Sanders. We expect him to do well. That may force Dallas to throw a little bit more. I think this is going to be a good spot here for Amari Cooper. Coming off a down game, was barely targeted in that last game. I really think we see a bounce back here to more normal Amari Cooper numbers, more targets here. And this Philadelphia secondary is absolutely beat up. They may get Darius Slay back, but I will continue to say, as I have over the years, I think he is highly overrated, and wide receiver ones have absolutely torched this Philadelphia secondary, including some big games against Darius Slay. In fact, they are the worst team against wide receiver ones, according to DVOA, and they're not very good. Let's just be honest. So injuries, no skill there, and too cheap of a price here. Add it all up. Love the spot for Amari Cooper against the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, let's go back to the running back position. Another guy on the higher end I'm liking this week, Austin Ekeler of the Chargers. So another guy, ho-hum box score. We get Kalen Ballage kind of stealing touches, stealing goal line touches, and I think this is going to help keep this as a lower owned play with some big time upside. Now, I get it. That's a concern, no doubt, but this matchup I think is really going to unlock a ceiling here for Austin Ekeler. The Broncos, 27 in DVOA against the run so far this season. Really been a struggle of late. The last few weeks, they've really been torched by opposing running backs. In LA, nice favorable total here, 6th highest total of the 20 teams we have on the slate, plus home favorites, a spot we know we want to take our running backs in here, and a guy we know will be involved in the passing game. Keenan Allen, as of this moment, questionable. If he were to miss this game, that may mean a few more targets here for Austin Ekeler. But I love the spot here. I think he's going to check in at very low ownership and going to be a big part of my builds here in Week 16. All right, let's get more correlation with the Ekeler pick. Let's go to the other side with tight end Noah Fant of the Broncos. So this is one of those games I think is very stackable. It's not the highest total out there, not the game on the marquee, but that game that I think there's a lot of stackable pieces. or you can just use a skinny stack of EKELER and FANT here, which is what I'll do in the lineups. I don't stack this game, but coming off season highs, targets, receptions last week, 8 catches in that game against Buffalo, and this is a good matchup for him. Chargers have really struggled against the tight end position. In fact, bottom 12 in fantasy points allowed to this position. So Drew Lock, this offense can be frustrating, but Noah Fant, as long as he's healthy, as long as he's out there, which he showed us last week, can be one of the best in the game. Don't have to pay those Kelsey prices, but we still get a nice ceiling here with Noah Fant against the Chargers. All right, let's move on to the quarterback position. We're going to go back to our boy Mitchell Trubisky of the Bears. Now, I know you guys love to give me some flack when I put old Mitch in the 6-pack, but this Bears offense has really started to look good here. 30-plus points in 3 straight games, and I get it. David Montgomery, probably the biggest benefactor and the main reason why this offense is clicking, but let's look at the guy at the helm of this offense, and let's look at the matchup here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And all of these Bears are going to be in play. No issues with David Montgomery with the way he's playing, but Jacksonville's second most fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, a team that probably does not want to win any more games with Trevor Lawrence looming big here. Now that they sit in the throne with the #1 pick on deck here, I think this team is really going to lay over and die. And as you'd expect, the team that gives up a lot of production to the quarterback position, also not very good against the pass. And that shows in their DVOA rank 32nd in the league, dead last against the pass here. Trubisky is cheap. I think there's upside here. And I love the spot against this terrible Jacksonville defense. All right, it's time to take a look at my favorite play for week 16. But before we do that, guys, we're going to continue our Beast of the Week contest. Absolutely free to enter. All you have to do is get in the comment section right below the video and guess fantasy points on DraftKings for my favorite play. Closest guess will win themselves either a free week of RotoGrinders Premium or a free RotoGrinders t-shirt. Let's wrap up week 16, my favorite play. You know him as the Beast of the Week. All right, Beast time. We owe you one more wide receiver, and I think you know where we're going here. We're going to correlate with our boy Trubisky. We're going with wide receiver Allen Robinson, this week's Beast of the Week. So Robinson, we know, one of the best in the games. You get a solid floor. You get upside. In fact, 70 more receiving yards in every game this season except for 3 games. I mean, that is consistency. Also has multiple 30-point outings this season as well. And Jacksonville, as you'd expect, we talked about how bad they are against quarterbacks, and only makes sense that they're not good against wide receivers. Bottom 10 in that category as well. Plus, we get a little bit of narrative here. You guys know I love narrative street. You get a good matchup, you get a hell of a player in Allen Robinson, but you also get narrative revenge game against his former team here. I think David Montgomery going to eat up a lot of ownership here. So the Trubisky-Robinson pairing going to come in a little bit cheaper on the ownership than it normally would. Love all 3 of those guys, but Allen Robinson, easily my favorite play on this week 16 slate and this week's Beast of the Week. All right, guys, that'll do it for week 16 here in the Fantasy Bar. As always, any comments, questions, feedback, hit me up in that comment section. You can also head over to Twitter and follow me at Beermakersfan. And if you want more expanded thoughts on the slate from guys like Notorious Head Chopper and myself, check out the DFS OGs podcast over on RotoGrinders.com. For RotoGrinders, I am Beer saying salut. Best of luck this week, guys. Thank you, as always, for watching, and we'll see you.
Hey, thanks for checking out our videos. If you want more expert advice on DraftKings, FanDuel, or any other daily fantasy sports, make sure you check out the current videos playlist